Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Noam and I wanted to welcome all of you to another installment of Monologue Monday here on my YouTube channel.
Monologue Monday.
If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for tuning back in, and as always, I hope you can take something away from this episode as well. With that being said, let's get into this installment of Monologue Monday. So for this episode of Monologue Monday, I wanted to share a conversation, or rather a thought that I had while I was taking a little bit of a road trip with my grandfather, who is at this point 88 or 89 years old. So he's quite young at heart, but he's been around for quite some time, right? So as we were in the car, we had a 2-hour drive there, 2-hour drive back. We were able to talk about quite a few things, right? And one of the topics that came up was really the state of the world right now. And, we obviously have a pretty interesting conversation at hand, because we have someone who has been around for 88 years and has gone through all of the changes up until now. And you have someone, myself, who's been around for 28 years and gotten to the same point in time. So we kind of talked about how things were when he was younger, right? When he was my age, really, and a little bit older, and how it compares to the world that I currently live in on a day-to-day basis right now. Now, I know there's probably a decent amount of people already sleeping at the fact that this video is about myself talking to an 88-year-old man, right? It's not exactly viral-worthy content, but nonetheless, I do believe that we do need to emphasize the importance of communicating and hearing stories about people that have been around for quite some time, right? Because that's how we ultimately are going to learn to not make the same mistakes, and also try to have insight into how things were back then. Because if things were better in certain ways back then, it's good to know about that, so we can try to make those changes to, revert back if we are in a worse position right now. So I do want to stress the importance of talking to your elders and other elders around in different communities, because the things that you can learn are, quite incredible. But like I said, the conversation that we had was really about some of the main differences, or actually he only mentioned one main difference when we started kind of talking about the world that we live in today. And, it was it was a point that really made me think. And, hence, I'm making the video to try to express my thoughts on, what he said. And the thing that he said after I kind of proposed the question of, what is the biggest difference that you see in the world from when you were my age, right, 28 years old, sort of in this should be a pretty good point in your life where you're working and learning a lot, and you're able to travel a lot. You have a lot of opportunities when you're when you're at my age, as I do myself. But one of the thing that he said that there was the biggest difference is the amount of trust that we have with one another. And at the time, I just kind of said, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense, whatever. But it wasn't actually until a couple days after where I really thought about what he had said, and it really resonated me on how important and how true that actually was. So when you think of the point of, not having trust for one another, I wanted to think of, why that might be. And it seems to me, when I do think back at it right now at this moment that there's so many examples of instances where a company, a large company, a small company kind of goes against what we had believed that they were doing from the surface level, right? When we see these big companies, for example, and we find out, we have these ideas of how the dynamics are within the company and how the products are made, and what their mission statement is, right, internally, and then things leak, right? People come out, whistleblowers come out, whatever it is, ex-employees come out, ex-executives come out, whatever it is, and or journalists get involved, right, for example, and photographers. and come out and expose some of the somewhat shady or corrupt things that these huge companies potentially are doing. It really paints them in a different picture, right? So now these companies that we thought of as overall good our whole life are not so anymore. And the same thing really goes for celebrities, right? We have this idea of we see these people in movies, we see interviews of them, we see posts online, social media, that kind of stuff. So we think, well, not me, I know there's a lot of people that think they know these celebrities, even though obviously that's very far from the truth. They only know a surface level, but they think they know them more than they actually do. And as it happens, things leak out, right? The way that they treated an employee, the way that they treated a partner, a coworker, their own family in some instances. There's way too many examples to list in this video, right? I mean, there's just so many, and I'm sure you probably have some of your own that you can kind of tie to these, each of these surface level examples that I'm giving here. And another example that I can kind of think of that's even closer to home is this relationship that and I hesitate to call it a relationship because I don't think it really is, but relationships that we have with people that we've met, the people that we were friends with at some point in time, that are now through technology, right? They're through these friendships are another example that I think is very prevalent, at least from the context of what my grandfather was saying, was the relationship that we have with our neighbors, right? I know you probably can't see out the window back there, but I have a neighbor, right? And well, this isn't my house, but my parents have neighbors around. And I think one thing that's definitely changed, and I haven't been around for that many years, but from stories that I've heard personally, because of the invention and the implementation of all of the technology and so on that we have around us, right? There's 3 monitors here. There's a camera here. There's a phone here. There's a computer there. It's all over, right? Since the advent of all of these forms of communication, widespread global communication, I think there's definitely been this change in the way that people communicate with one another. Now we don't do as much of the in-person communication as my grandfather would, right? I think one of the things that he always mentions is that back in the day, you basically knew the whole neighborhood, right? You'd maybe go to a different house each week to say hi, to see how people were doing, on the weekends or something like that. And that's just not a reality, right? I think in many examples, there's people living in houses and they in their neighborhood, they may know one, or they may communicate regularly with one of their neighbors. They may not even know, they may know the neighbors on the right side of the house, but of their house, but they may have never even talked to the neighbors on the left side of their house. And this has to be, in my opinion, kind of linked to all of the mass forms of communication, like I said, that have kind of made their way into our life. But this, I think, contributes to what my grandfather was kind of saying about this lack of this trust, because we don't know that many people, right? There's no, sometimes even when you go to try to reach out to neighbors, in an apartment or, in your neighborhood or something like that, a lot of people don't even want to, don't even want to talk, right? Or it's very superficial, right? They want you to leave, get out of their space, whatever it is. And I think this definitely contributes to this lack of connection, this lack of trust that my grandfather was talking about. One thing that I really try to emphasize on my channel that's very closely related to kind of what my grandfather was talking about is that I really try to be as candid and as honest as possible with a lot of these videos when I share points on different topics or my opinions or my worldviews, whatever it is. They are my own, right? They're not written. They weren't written by anybody else. I don't use scripts even for my videos. I just start talking, and whatever comes out is what I use. So I hope this type of video is something that has been good to really showcase kind of my character and my personality to all of you continued viewers. I also want to mention that there are going to be some pretty exciting videos coming up in the very near future here that are really going to kind of show what's going on in my life, right? And I think I don't want to spoil really anything at this point, but I think they're going to be really good. I mean, good as in, the heart of it. I'm not going to say I don't want to say that I'm going to edit it to a movie quality or anything, but the heart's going to be there, right? The spirit of the video is going to be there. And it's going to be, like I said, a lot of different things that, big things that happen within your life. And I kind of want to take you, loyal viewers, really along for the journey. But there you go. Those are a few of my thoughts on the conversation that I had with my grandfather regarding the biggest change that he's seen in the world since he was basically my age. But of course, I want to hear from the viewers as well. If you guys have any other thoughts on this conversation that I had with my grandfather regarding this loss of trust that we have within our communities and by extension within the United States, please let me know them in the comment section below. As always, if you've stuck along this far in the video, I want to thank you so much for your time, and I hope to see you again sometime soon.